First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who has backed Wasteland 2. It's been an amazing last 3 weeks. I've been wanting to do this game, as you know, for 20 years, and finally, I get to do it. So for that, I thank you. And the two things that it allows me to do are the things that I like to do the most, which is one, I get to make role-playing games, and number two, I get to do it my way. And that's what's really fantastic about this. I brought together a lot of talent for this, and what's been nice is that I get to just pick up the phone and do it my way. Whether it was bringing Andre in to do the concept art, it was Mike Stackpole as one of the writers, Cress Avalon as one of the designers, and Mark Morgan as the music. This sort of setup allows me to just do it the way I've always wanted to do it and make it happen. And so for that, again, I cannot thank you enough, and we will make this game great for you. So with that, there's been a lot of questions, and I'd like to try to answer some of those. So that's what we'll move to now. Hell yes, it was fantastic, and I certainly hope for a great response, but this was certainly bigger than I could have anticipated. I had a lot of excitement for the project. I've been pursuing it for a long time, but when you're pitching people all those years, you start to question maybe maybe it isn't that exciting, even though I wanted to do it. So no, it's been fantastic, and the best part has been all of the emails that I've received from people that grew up playing it as a kid and how it had an impact on their lives, or the people that have sent me the email saying that the reason they're in the games industry today was because of that game. And that's been a real pleasant surprise, and not something I thought I'd see. That's a question I get a lot, and it's funny, there's sort of two camps on the fan feedback. There's one where people want to make sure their input's heard, and then there's another side that says, well, don't listen to us too much, because then you'll try to make everyone happy, and it won't be anything good. And I think it's important to understand that when we use the fan feedback, it's on the broad strokes of the game, right? We do these things called the vision documents, so we want to know, what's important, right? From a graphical tone look to the combat systems, to what's important. Where's the money best spent? Is it on cinematics? Is it on a bigger world, which I've clearly covered before? Those broad strokes is what matter. The fans, we're not going to turn to them to do the writing or to do the music. That's why I brought all the experts in. That's where the trust in us to do our job comes in. So I don't think there should be any concern that it's going to be overly fan inputted. At the same time, I look at beta testing as just more fan input, right? So once we take this initial batch of information, we'll do our thing, then we'll put it out there, and then we'll solicit another round of fan feedback. And I wouldn't have development done any other way. There's several different parts to the vision document, and just to hit a few of the points, and there are many, and we'll be posting those up later. And again, we'll continue to go back and forth with the fans. But mood is a big part of it. Setting the mood and tone of the game, and especially for something that you don't want to feel like you've seen it 100 times before. The reason I did the concept piece with Andre is to start setting the mood for what are the Rangers like. Even though that's sort of got a dusty feel to it, the whole game will not have a dusty feel to it. So there'll be areas that are more sort of overgrown urban decay, but then there'll be the southwest side of it. We'll be relying heavily on Mark Morgan for the music, and we have some very specific ideas on how to set the tone with the music to go with the same mood of what we've got. We also have on the writing style. So we'll talk conceptually about what is the mood of the game and what are all the different disciplines we bring together to make sure we're hitting all the notes of that mood. Other parts of the vision document will be about what is the view of the game, right? So we talked a lot about top down and isometric, and so for example, we envision there to be two basic camera views. They're one where it's pulled out quite high for the overall traveling of the entire world map, which will give you a greater sense of scale. And there'll be a second view, which is down closer in, which is where the combat system will take place, and the exploration around the cities and that sort of thing. We don't like cutting, for example, to a battle map. We think it takes you out of the immersiveness of the game, so we try to keep that second view intact, the same with the battle. We'll probably be a little bit further out than perhaps what Fallout was, because we have ranged party combat, so there's more going on screen. But that said, we have higher resolution now than we did have back with Fallout, so that sort of makes up for it. So that would be another part of the vision document where we talk about the perspective. So combat is the other part of the game that is certainly a big focus, and I think we've been clear in that it's going to be a turn-based tactical combat game, and certainly we're well versed with Jagged Alliance and Fallout Tactics and what others like that have done, and so there are elements of that we're definitely going to use, but also, combat needs to move quickly sometimes. We don't want every small encounter to be such that the players are sort of groaning that they're going to some long combat situation when they want to just keep moving faster. So, it has to be somewhere between those two worlds. So there'll be a lot of discussion on the combat system and the trade-offs of moving quickly versus the tactical nature. And again, that's where we use the forums, where we'll be dialing that sort of stuff in. So that's another thing that will be clearly called out in the vision document. Another important element is the customizable nature of the game itself. So, and this goes across many facets of it. So one is just the user interface, and that we like the way WoW handled it, and that you sort of customize it just the way you want, and you'll set it up such that so that we are not putting our idea of what the UI needs to look like, but you'll set it up the way you want. The customizable nature also goes to character portraits. We're going to allow you to make your own portraits and import them in so you can have your character party look the way you want. And also even the gameplay style in itself, in a way, is all customizable because your ranger party is going to be a mix the way you want. You're going to play the game you want. So the entire experience in itself is one big customizable feature. For me, NPCs have always been a great part of the role-playing game experiences that I've liked. And I especially like when I bring NPCs into my party and they don't always behave exactly the way I want them to. To me, that makes them sort of come alive. So there's going to be sort of the standard in that you're going to meet different NPCs along the way. You're not always going to find the same NPCs as your friend who's playing the game might find. And then there's going to be this person's good at this, but not as bad at that. But we like to take it one step further, and anybody that played the first Wasteland game can remember the frustration of ammo being extremely low, and then you have one of your key NPCs empty an entire Uzi clip into a rat when you needed that preciously needed ammo. We're going to do the same kinds of things, but you might find a guy that's just fantastic in your party, but he steals from you, and so you need to deal with that. So for me, I think the NPC part of it is going to be is going to make it the dynamic very interesting. We haven't talked much about the story with Wasteland 2, so I'll give you just some little tidbits here in that the game is going to take place just shortly after when the first one ended. And so you'll find yourself in the Southwest still. You're sort of a new set of Ranger recruits, and you're going to be going out into the real world now to deal with the local population and their problems. So you'll have a chance to explore some of the areas and also meet some of the characters that were in the first Wasteland game. And I might add that you don't need to have played the first Wasteland at all to understand what's going on in Wasteland 2. If you did, there'll be some inside jokes and references, things like that, but you didn't need to do it. So anyway, so you'll spend so the first X% of the game in the original area, but then suddenly, or at some point, a guy comes sort of crawling out of the desert in the west. And this is a big deal because it's sort of assumed that California has been completely destroyed in the nuclear war. So for anybody to come out, that part of the world is a big deal. So this person comes out, he's alive, he's talking about the Guardians, and basically the Rangers decided they need to figure out what's going on in California. So they take you and your crew, they helicopter you out to California, they drop you off, and now you're in charge of setting up a new Ranger base in California, and you're going to investigate what the heck's going on out there. I think that's probably a better question for Chris Avalon. Chris?
Thanks, Brian. The chance to work on Wasteland is a personal dream of mine. When I played the game way back in high school, it easily made one of the best RPG experiences I've ever had to date. It's in my top 10 games of all time. So when Kickstarter provided the opportunity to sort of allow Obsidian to contribute to Wasteland 2, I personally jumped at the opportunity. I very much wanted to contribute design elements to the game. I love doing stories, I love designing characters, I love designing areas. And the chance to be able to do that in the Wasteland universe, again, it's a high school gamer dream come true. So
we have less than a week to go with our Kickstarter fund ending, and I'm hoping that the RPG crowd steps up like the adventure game crowd did for Double Fine. They did an incredible $600,000 in just the last 2 days. And nothing would make me happier than to have the RPG genre have the #1 Kickstarter record here. So I wanted to sort of say that, and let's make this happen. I should add that this is the only chance to get Wasteland 2 for $15. When the game comes out later, there will not be an opportunity to buy it for this cheap. And lastly, this has really been sort of a high watermark for my career. It's been the most amazing last 3 weeks of my life. I've loved every minute of it, and I really believe we've all created history here.